Hello. What I would like to talk about is to do an informative speech. So what I'm going to do is to inform you all on the three different types of marching bands that we have in this world. So so what I would like to talk about is the different types of marching bands. And what are the different types of marching bands? Well, before we get into that, I like to discuss that we are familiar with the marching band, that there are instruments such as the flute, the clarinet, the saxophone, the trumpet, the trombone, if you're familiar with the drums, the xylophones, or even if you're in it right now, or if you're. What I'm gonna go ahead and talk about are what are the many different types of marching bands. But in sixth grade, I started playing the bass clarinet, but however, I ended up playing the B flat clarinet, which is a high woodwind instrument. I mean, the bass clarinet is well. I'm not gonna get into all that. I'm not gonna get into all that. So this whole, with low reed, high reed, high brass, low brass, and all that stuff. But I'm gonna go ahead and explain the three different types of marching bands in the world. So the first thing I would like to discuss is the marching band itself. So the marching band, and what do we do even if you really want to be in it? As I mentioned earlier, what I didn't mention is I was in it until my end of high school year, and I ended up playing the clarinet the whole time. I never played another instrument. But now okay, let's get back to what we were talking about. So what is marching band, and what do we do even if we want to be in it? And according to Lane Pool's quote, marching band provides rigorous exercise. Participants undergo aerobic and cardio workouts during rehearsals and performances, as well as musical development, carrying instruments, using correct marching style, which is which is Lane Powell's quote. But we are in marching band in high school, or maybe during university. There's Even if you're in high school, but it depends on what school you're at. Even if you're at a different kind of school, they probably won't have it. If you're in universities, they probably would have it, and they even though some colleges do have some don't. I go to a community college, and they don't really provide marching services, but they do have like concert bands. But not to get off subject. So, and here's another quote from Melissa Owen saying that a marching band is a group of instrumental musicians who performs for audiences at athletic events, ceremonies, and who may against other groups at marching competitions. So, even if you're in the marching band, you are either performing at um, your high school football game during halftime. You're marching at parades, even if it's an event in your city, a parade that's part of school, let's say homecoming. And there's also competitions depending on where you live, depending on what what y'all are doing. Even if you're competing in state or you know. So yeah, so that's what marching band really is. I mean, that's the only place that I've been in. As I talked about in the beginning, I was in the marching band for the whole my whole my whole school life after my sixth grade, but it turned out really fine. So now let's get on to the new subject. Now we're gonna do drums and corps and how it's different from the original marching band. Okay, so here's a quote from SP Estrella. It's similar to marching bands, but members are usually composed of younger players. This type of band is often sponsored by a nonprofit organization. Instruments uses as are percussion and brass. They also have color guards. Also, I didn't mention from before that marching band also has color guards, but that's different compared to. Well, it's not kind of different. It's where all the ladies have all the flags and rifles, but they also do the same thing with drums and corps. And yeah, let me go ahead and get on to what I'm going to talk about right here. But unlike the original marching band, how we see in high school and colleges, drum corps have percussion, including the and also including drums and the front ensemble, the drums that people that percussionists use in the on the field on usually when they're performing, but during like you're performing at halftime or marching competition, the front ensemble, which is just the xylophones and the gongs and all that, and so yeah, and there's also a competition that's around that you're mostly familiar with. There's also the DCI, or it's short for Drum Corps International, if you're familiar with that. So let's go ahead and move on with the final one. Where now we're gonna go ahead and talk about military band and why its characteristic or what its characteristics. And here's also another quote from Rachel Stopchinski. The modern marching band originates in the military band tradition. Military bands are characterized by straight, organized ranks that move in the forwards direction. The military band usually plays national or patriotic tunes, but the Chitsky means that the art of military band is not as popular as it was, but some do not exist. I mean, I usually hear that sometimes, mainly like in parades, and they're usually performing, and they could perform anywhere else as long as it could be, as long as it's patriotic and not, and I'm pretty sure they kind of do have brass instruments that I'm familiar aware of, but yeah, that's so yeah, so that concludes all the things I talk about. I already discussed the original marching band, I discussed the drum corps, I discussed the military band, and so anyways, so overall, I will always remember the days that I was being in the marching band. I played the clarinet. I've been to competitions. I've been into football game in the well, not into football games, but like performing during football games, even if the football players are playing, or if it's during halftime show, during performances from our directors. So yeah, this is what I got to talk about. So I hope you really enjoyed this speech. So thank you so much.